Chapter 6. When Perfection is Necessary, Knowing the Exceptions. The Perfection Dilemma. Okay, let's get real for a second. Up until now, we have been talking about how imperfection is the key to progress, success, and growth, and that's still absolutely true. But let us not pretend that perfection is never necessary. There are times when striving for excellence, and yes, even perfection, is critical. There is a fine line between embracing imperfection and knowing when to push for precision. After all, you don't want your surgeon telling you they're okay with 90% success in the operating room, right? Or imagine an architect casually saying, "This building's foundation is pretty good, but let's not sweat the details." Sometimes, getting things just right is essential. But the trick is to recognize when that level of precision matters and when it is okay to let go of the perfectionist mindset. In this chapter, we are going to explore when and where perfection truly matters and how to balance the pursuit of excellence with the need for progress. We are talking about learning to use perfectionism as a tool rather than letting it use you. Where perfection truly matters. Perfectionism gets a bad reputation because it often leads to procrastination, self-doubt, and paralysis. But when used properly, perfectionism can be an asset. In certain situations, especially when the stakes are high, you want precision. It is about knowing when good enough simply isn't good enough. So, where does perfection truly matter? Let us explore a few key areas. High-stakes decisions. There are moments in life and work where a careless mistake can have major consequences. In these cases, perfection is not just a nice-to-have, it's a must. If you're a surgeon, a pilot, or even an engineer building a bridge, you want to make sure every detail is accounted for. Lives, safety, and well-being depend on it. Mastery of a skill. If you're aiming to be a true expert in your field, whether it's in art, business, or sports, perfectionism can be a driving force for excellence. The pursuit of perfection pushes you to refine your craft and go beyond what's good enough to become exceptional. But remember, even in mastery, there is a learning curve. Perfectionism should drive you forward, not hold you back. Art and creativity. Sometimes in creative fields, there's a balance between raw expression and polished output. Artists, musicians, and writers often reach a point where they want their work to be as close to perfect as possible because their art represents them. But even then, there is a line. Knowing when a piece is complete versus endlessly tweaking it is part of the creative process. Integrity and ethics. When it comes to your personal values, integrity, and moral decisions, perfectionism is worth striving for. In these moments, you do not want to cut corners. You want to be impeccable in your character because your decisions reflect who you are and the impact you have on others. The key takeaway here is that perfection has a place, but it is situational. It is not an all-or-nothing mindset you need to apply to everything. Being able to switch between striving for excellence in important areas and accepting imperfection in others is what sets successful people apart from those who get stuck chasing a flawless version of life. The dangers of over-applying perfectionism. Even though perfectionism has its place, over-applying it can do more harm than good. The problem arises when you start using perfectionism in situations that do not require it. Suddenly, instead of it being a tool, it becomes a trap. For example, you might be working on a project where 80% is good enough, but you spend 20 more hours tweaking unnecessary details. Or you are stuck on something minor, like the font choice on a presentation, instead of focusing on the overall content. Perfectionism, when misused, can waste time, energy, and resources. The other danger of over-applying perfectionism is burnout. Constantly striving for perfection can leave you feeling exhausted, frustrated, and never satisfied with your work. It is a cycle of always chasing something that doesn't really exist, and in the process, you miss out on progress and joy. The trick is learning when to turn perfectionism on and when to turn it off. It is about being strategic with your pursuit of excellence, understanding when it's worth your energy and when it's holding you back. Narrative: The Architect's Dilemma. Let us take a look at a story that illustrates when perfectionism is necessary and when it's not. Meet Samuel, a talented architect who is known for his incredible attention to detail. His buildings are praised for their beauty and precision. But when Samuel is hired to design a new skyscraper, he faces a dilemma. The project is under a tight deadline, and there are multiple aspects of the design that still need to be finalized. Samuel's perfectionist tendencies kick in. He wants every inch of the building to be flawless. But as he continues to tweak and adjust, the deadline looms closer. His team grows frustrated and progress stalls. Samuel is so focused on making every detail perfect that the project as a whole suffers. Realizing the risk of missing the deadline, Samuel takes a step back. He refocuses on what matters most, ensuring the structural integrity of the building is flawless and the critical elements are in place. He lets go of the need for perfection in smaller areas, like the design of the office spaces, trusting his team to handle them. In the end, Samuel delivers a building that's both beautiful and structurally sound on time. He learns that perfectionism has its place, but only when applied to the areas that matter most. Had he clung to his perfectionist mindset for every aspect of the project, he would have risked its success entirely. Samuel's story shows us that perfectionism is like a tool in your toolbox. It is powerful, but it's only useful when applied to the right situations. Finding the balance. So, how do you find the balance between perfectionism and progress? Here are a few guiding questions to help you decide when perfectionism is necessary and when you should embrace good enough. What is at stake? Is this a high-stakes situation where a mistake could have serious consequences, or is it something where imperfection won't be catastrophic? If the stakes are low, progress is more important than perfection. Is this helping or hurting? Ask yourself whether your perfectionism is driving you forward or keeping you stuck. If it is helping you improve and grow, great. If it is causing delays, frustration, or burnout, it's time to let it go. Can it be fixed later? Sometimes, you just need to get things out there and refine them later. In many cases, especially in business or creative work, launching something imperfectly allows you to get valuable feedback, make adjustments, and improve over time. The first version does not have to be perfect. What is the bigger picture? Do not lose sight of the overall goal. Sometimes, obsessing over small details distracts you from what really matters. Focus on what is going to move the needle, not on making every tiny thing flawless. By asking these questions, you can start to identify when perfectionism is necessary and when it is getting in your way. Practical exercise: using perfectionism wisely. Let us put this into practice. This exercise will help you understand when to apply perfectionism and when to embrace imperfection. Reflection. Think about a current project or task you are working on. Write down all the areas where you are aiming for perfection. Are they high-stakes areas or are they small details? Ask yourself, what is at stake if these areas aren't perfect? Is the need for perfection justified, or could you let go of some of these details to focus on progress? Action step. Choose one area of your project or task where you are holding on to perfection unnecessarily. Now, make a conscious decision to embrace imperfection in that area. Is there a minor detail you can delegate to someone else? Can you complete the project with a good enough mindset and come back later to refine it? Next, choose one area where perfection is necessary, where attention to detail truly matters. Focus your energy and precision on that part, knowing that it is worth your effort. Final thought. Perfectionism is like a double-edged sword. Used wisely, it can help you achieve excellence in areas that matter most. But when overused, it can hold you back and keep you from making progress. The key is knowing when perfection is necessary and when it is time to let go. Learning to balance the pursuit of excellence with the need for progress will unlock your ability to move forward faster and more effectively.